Starting.
Okay. What's up, guys? This is going to be a short video about short hop fastfall missile cancel. I know that throughout the years we've had a lot of information about this stuff, and some of it is inaccurate, but really I want to correct the misconceptions, but I also want to just elaborate on what I recommend people do to learn this and why. I used to think that it was a difficult or impractically difficult technique to learn, and you guys know me. I'm not a tech monster, so if I'm taking the time to learn something, I legitimately feel that it's both um, useful and very learnable for all of you guys. So Uh, Shout outs to Gumi. His video was the most accurate source of information that I reviewed out of everything. But there was a lot of misinformation out there. Uh, so I'm gonna start uh, our little journey into why do we want to fast fall missile cancel? And the biggest answer is speed here. So I'm gonna start us at around jump frame 27. Um, so on 27 is the first frame that you can fast fall. So after 27, um, let's just count how many frames it takes me to land. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31 frames, and then I'm actionable. Let's say that I timed the super missile correctly. It doesn't matter when you do that. It takes about 31 frames. And then I'm going to do it again. But this time I'm going to do a fast fall missile cancel. So usually I found that you use 2 frames of fast fall. So 1 frame, 2 frame. So that was 1, 2, and then this is frame 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19, 20, and then we are actionable after the 21 here. So roughly I would say, 10 to 12 frames faster, um, which is pretty valuable. It's about almost like the length of a wave dash. Um, if you're coming down from a platform versus Marth or Falco, like Falco's lasering or Marth is dashing under you. I like the ability to run off and fast fall missile cancel in between lasers or just catching a dashing Marth by surprise, right? Pretty useful. I think that also if I'm falling and say a Peach is running toward me, and I've short hopped away, I think coming down with fast fall missile cancel is a good idea. Same if I'm full hop, um, if I'm full hopping away from a dashing opponent, and I feel like I can get to the ground because they might be maybe they're outside of my back air range, so I feel like it's safe for me to missile, but I can't just slow fall. Then this is a nice way to turn a slight disadvantage situation into a much better situation, right? Out of my short hop away, I'm immediately shooting a projectile upon landing and kind of turning the neutral situation into what I hope is slight advantage, right? And that would be it's very analogous to Falco coming down with a safe laser. It suddenly changes the what's happening on the screen. Mm. You're always going to be actionable really soon after you do it. And this I think has some real applications for things like shield pressure. For example, if I land with a if I land with a fastball missile cancel on someone's shield, then they're in 14 frames of shield stun, and this means that um, right after that touches their shield, I'm actionable. And during those, that means that I have true block strings on things like on people's shields for things like shield poking. And during this time, they can't angle their shield because they are in shield stun. So there will be times where you are shield pressuring someone by jumping or like short hopping around their shield and coming down with say fast fall missile cancel. I think on the front of Mars shield, for example, is like very nice because Mars front foot sticks out, and that's pokeable, especially if you add some shield damage. And this short hop fast fall missile cancel does do a lot of shield damage and shield stun. So you can do something like missile down smash on their shield. Um, I think that it's pretty useful for things like shield pressure, also edge guarding. Let's say that you're going toward the ledge, right? And in some situations, you really want to put out a ground height missile as soon as possible, but you also want to be actionable at the ledge as soon as possible. So when you're going towards the ledge, this allows you to put a missile out, but also suddenly be in the correct position to cover a lot of stuff as quickly as possible, right? You're not doing this stuff to like edge guard, then you have more time. But if you don't have as much time, especially on FD, you get to approach the ledge as quickly as possible without sacrificing many frames, and shoot a missile and then grab ledge. Um, yeah, when you're acting out of a missile, right? So, oh, I missed. So, whenever this happens, um, so Samus missile, it spends 11 frames at a speed of 0.6, and then every frame after that, first 11 frames, it will accelerate at a rate of 0.06, and then its terminal velocity is going to be 2.2, which is equivalent to Falcon's max run speed. So that means that the more actionable you are, like this, oof, I messed up my task wave dash. The more actionable you are, the closer you're going to stick to your missile. So that, once you're close by to your opponent, and if you get a confirm, you can quickly follow up on them or their shield because you're really actionable much sooner than you would expect, right? If I do this, the missile's already traveled a good distance before I'm actionable. I'm kind of playing catch up. But if I do a fast fall missile cancel, still practicing, of course, I'm much more actionable when it starts, and I can follow up on a lot of the hits and the pressure a lot more easily. The last one is pretty cool. Because Marth, Samus, and Roy, but really the kicker is Marth here, right? Because Marth has this thing, right? And a lot of times when we shoot normal height missiles, it's just so easy for Marth to like do this, right? And we all have to handle that. The nice thing about this is that that doesn't apply to these. Make sure that I just don't miss these. Oh, I did miss them in tasks. Huh. All right. So I shoot these missiles, and they're always going to be low missiles. And even if I am very careful when I press shield, they just won't be power shielded back. If Marth is crouching, he cannot crouch power shield a missile. And if he's standing, he has to be frame perfect. In general, the frame window for power shielding these missiles is either 1 frame or 0 frames. So it makes it a lot harder for Marth to do power shield as a counterplay option. And I think that's a pretty big bonus. My personal theory in Samus Marth is that Samus wants Marth to attack her, preferably using aerials. And so if you can control the ground with these low missiles, I think that it makes it a lot more difficult for Marth to stay in that kind of dash dance mode, waiting for you. And then they're going to be jumping and swinging a lot more often because they want to attack you. But you've spent minimal time inactionable, hopefully safe, like shooting shooting these kind of missiles, right? And and you're actionable immediately afterwards, and you can counterattack. So like I think that this is a big boon for Marth versus Samus on the Samus side because Marth has a lot of difficulty interacting favorably with these missiles. He can still clank them, but remember that clank puts you in like more than 10 frames where you are inactionable and your hitbox disappears during this time. And if I'm close behind this missile because I've shot it so low to the ground, I can usually find a window to hit Marth, or if I'm late, I can go for a grab or something like that. It just gives us a lot of soft advantage, I think. Okay, so now I want to talk about the motion. Let me change the screen I am sharing. Um, Let me grab the image that I want to show you guys. So I looked into the Cardano map that was shared a lot, and I'm going to show you guys that map. But I don't think that it's as accurate as it should be. Let me find the Cardano map. The map is shared on Gumi's tutorial video, so I'm going to go and grab it from there. Okay. Let me switch screens and show you guys the map. Okay. So, there's a lot of misconception about how our missiles work and how they work in the air. So this is the relevant one, the fall B options. Okay. So the only things that really matter here are the side B and down B zones. Now, for the life of me, I tried very hard. I used 20XX and I did a double finger claw method to hold the control stick in place at very precise coordinates. I could not find any kind of slope that is pictured in this diagram. If you can see my cursor, these sloped areas in the down right and the down left, I could not find any evidence of a slope. And I want you guys to understand that there's a side B zone, right? Now you might be saying like, "Hey Eric, like what about homing missile and what about like, it's really easy to think like, "Oh yeah, on the ground there's a jab zone, a tilt zone and a smash zone, right? So if I put the control stick in a halfway point between the smash zone and the jab zone, I'm probably going to get a tilt, and that's kind of what we're in our muscle memory for. Homing missiles don't work the same way. Uh, I can frame one F tilt if I put my control stick in the F tilt zone and then press A. I cannot frame one homing missile. So if you're doing these and getting homing missile, like that means there's something wrong with your motion because you should actually never really get homing missile. Uh, the way homing missile works is if your coordinates are in the side B for your control stick, If you spend more than 3 frames there and then you press B, you'll get a homing missile. And the motion that I'm about to recommend to you, which is very similar to the Gumi motion, it's it will never, it should never, if you do it correctly, it should never happen. You should never get homing missile. You saw me mess up a bunch of these. You'll either get bomb or early super missile, and I'm gonna cover what each of those mean. Um, but basically, I did my own research and I came up with this, simplified map. So, um, there's 3 important zones here, 3 important values. The first one is negative 0.6625, which is the yellow line in this diagram. That's the fast fall line. Now, if you are in this line, you will fast fall. Now, UCF, uh, the highest value that a notch can go to shield drop is negative 0.6625, the same value. So that means that as long as your controller can shield drop to either side, then what I'm recommending you use is your diagonal downward gate notch, just like your normal controller gate, downward angled 45 degrees down. Um, and that's the first part of the motion. We're trying to get a fast fall, and then we're trying to get from there to super missile as quickly as possible. Now, how do we do that? The next important value here is negative 0.55 in the y-axis. That's the red line. If you are at this line or below, no matter what your X position is, the game will believe that you wanted to bomb. So, if you get bomb, that would be Y. And you could see that, like, in a few of my mess ups, I was getting bomb. That's why, is that my motion didn't go past the red line. And then the last one is 0.6, which is the value for super missiling, or just side B in general. So what it is we're trying to get uh, to this angle, this zone, up here, where we are above the red line and we are to the right of the green line. And we're trying to do that as quickly as possible, and then we're trying to press B. So this is very, very similar to the Gumi recommended method. What you want to do is smash the control stick down at a 45-degree angle into your controller gate and then push it to a wave dash angle. And I did a little bit of digging into what I did a little bit of digging into what those angles were, and I have them here. So you want to end up somewhere between 2 and 27 degrees below the horizontal, which is a 5-degree window, and it doesn't seem like a ton, but most humans, when they wave dash and they're trying to wave dash the farthest distance, they wave dash in that zone. So you can hit that accurately. It's already in your muscle memory, most likely. So we're trying to do a sweeping motion that starts from the diagonal downward controller notch and ends in a wave dash angle, and you want to simultaneously press B. So a lot of times, we've learned smash attack muscle memory from when we first started playing Smash, where you tap the control stick and then you press A later, right? And that's sort of too slow for this. You really want to be simultaneously pressing B as you enter that zone, and that's going to get you a better motion. Now, if you're perfect in doing this motion, you're going to have what I call a 1-frame motion. You're going to do fast fall for 1 frame, and then you're going to super missile on the next possible frame. That's what I call a 1-frame motion. If you're off by 1, then you have what I call a 2-frame motion. And I think the two frame motion is, obviously it's easier, but it's also like much more consistent. And I think that it's something that is really critical to making this technique learnable and repeatable. There's a lot of leeway for error here. Okay, so let's jump into the frame requirements and why all this mumbo jumbo about like one frame and two frame are important. Okay, so the reason why fast fall for two frames is what I'm talking about. Is that that's that's what the old description of this being a two frame window technique comes from. You have you can only do fast fall for one frame or fast fall for two frames. It's not a You cannot fast fall for three frames. So I'll demonstrate this. So I can fast fall in frame 27, which is the next frame, and I go one, two, three, and then I super missile, and you cannot do it. So you can only fast fall for one frame or two frames. The only exception is when you are short hopping from the center of the stage on Yoshi's, and then you go toward the edge and you land on the slope. If you're doing that, then three frames will do it. But in most cases, in most practical cases, you cannot do it with three frames of a fast fall. And this is why, people were saying like, oh, it's a two frame window, it's so hard, blah 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 blah. No 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 no. You guys, if you guys know how to AI, or you guys know how to ledge dash, you're hitting windows like this all the time. All you're doing is putting a specific motion into your muscle memory, and that's what makes it doable. With much more practice, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get this consistently. And there are I go on unranked, and I have full games where I'm hitting these with much higher consistency than you see here. I haven't started this up in net play, so it might be that the delay is kind of messing with my visual cue. Um, so I do recommend practicing this by starting net play and using the eight buffer method of practice, or just do it on unranked. I think spamming it on unranked against players that you don't care if you win or lose to, very it's very good for etching this into your muscle memory, and it's been helping me a lot too. So let's talk about frame requirements. So let's say that we have a two frame motion. What does that mean for our window? Well, okay, let's look. So I already know that I can get it if I go to 27. The maximum, the latest possible fastfall frame for two frame motion is for frame 29. So fastfall frame 3. When you practice this is Uncle Punch version 2 beta 3. I recommend practicing on here and turning on the fastfall code so that you know when your fastfall was and what it means. So fastfall frame 3 is the latest possible time when you can fastfall for two frames and still get a super missile out. So if you have a two frame motion, that means that you have a three frame window in order to do the motion and have it result in a super missile. And that's very humanly doable. It's actually very humanly doable. Once you get your motion down, this is not going to feel like an impossible or impractical technique. Um, the thing that I realized is that what if you have a one frame motion? Well, I already know I can do it at 27. When can I, what's the latest possible time? What's the maximum amount of error that happens if I have a one frame motion? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? This has to be too late, right? This is a crazy window, but no, no, no. If you can fast fall and then super missile in the next frame, if you have a one frame motion, maybe you're fast on your controller, maybe you're accurate, or maybe you have a box. This is why it's so much easier on a box, is because doing a one frame motion on a box is just pressing down and then forward B on the next frame, right? So this this would be a very big reason why you, if you have a box and you play Samus, like learn this technique. You have an 8 frame window to do it, right? So it's fantastic for box users, and if you're planning on supporting Gumi's upcoming controller project, I believe that there are ways in which his Pody emulation can also make this easier. If you have a good ledge dash controller or a good AI controller, doing a 1 frame motion is not at all out of the question. And if you practice this muscle memory, you can also extend your window to this 8 frame window. Um, so when you're practicing and you hit a fastfall in the first 3 frames, if you hit a fastfall in your first 3 frames and you get a missile out, you know that you either had a 1 frame or a 2 frame motion. If you go and you have and it shows a greater than 3 frame, right? If you fastfall on frame 4 to 8 and you still get your missile out, that means that you had a 1 frame motion. I don't have a 1 frame motion right now. I only have a 2 frame motion. And I've mostly been practicing the 2 frame motion. But even then, your window is 3 frames long, which is a lot better than we originally thought, I think. I think we thought it was a very stringent 2 frame window, but it's not. And once you have that motion in your possession, it's going to be a lot better. And also the reason why these windows are so different is because if Samus fast falls, I'll show you here. So she fast falls at a speed of negative 2.3. That's her Y velocity. But as soon as she starts missiling, her falling velocity drops to negative 1.4. So that's why, you know, 1 frame of fastfall affects the window by so much. The last thing I want to talk about is backward short hop. So as you guys know, right? Let's go to Battlefield real quick. As you guys know, if I backward short hop on Battlefield, I get this no impact land. So this happens on like frame 20 of your backward short hop, and that means that you can't. If you're on Battlefield, you want to be careful with backward short hop for a short hop fastball missile cancel. You can short hop in place and drift back. That's totally fine, and then just do your you can just do the input after that. But try not to backward short hop on Battlefield. You will have this happen to you. You could, of course, you know, backward short hop and then just regular drop missile. It's not the end of the world, but you won't be able to do short hop fastball missile cancel. If you do it in place or, you know, facing forward, you can drift back and you can still get it. The other stages that you have to be mindful of are Yoshi's and Stadium. But what's nice about this is that, let's say I backward short hop, I'm not going to land until frame 30-ish, I believe. Yeah. So let me get the frames. I'm not going to land until frame 33, right? So this is outside the window for almost all of the like short hop fastball missile cancel. So if I backward short hop and then I do the motion, I'm bad at doing it out of backward short hop, I think. Let me try again. Oof. Let me do it in TAS then. So if I backward short hop, see, so my first frame of fastfall just takes me through the platform. So I don't have to worry about it anymore. So if I'm backward short hopping, this isn't going to affect my fastball missile cancel at all. Oh, I am atrocious. I'm getting bomb, and that means that my B press is too soon. Yeah, I'm pressing B too soon, guys. But yeah, don't worry about backward short hop on Stadium or Yoshi's, because your fastfall will always put you below the platform, and you don't have to worry about it interrupting your missile cancel. Oh, there's one other thing I want to talk about here is that whenever this comes up, the talk about the fastfall buffer always comes into play. So here, right, if I press down on frame 24 and I hold it, then I fastfall on frame 27, right? And so there's a lot of like theory. There's a Taucon article, like um, you can buffer this fastfall and then do the motion. Um, I very much recommend against it. I recommend that you don't think about this buffer at all. Don't even consider it. Because in order for this buffer to work, right? Let's say that I press down on frame 26. Now, fastfall is buffered. But let's say I'm doing the motion, right? So on frame 27, I'm trying to be at the smash missile location. I just did that, and now I'm no longer fast falling. So in order for an input to be buffered, it has to be held. And that's the main issue here. So if you actually find yourself doing this when you're trying to short up fastfall missile cancel, what's happening is that you're pressing down too soon. You're trying your motion too soon, and you're early in your motion, and that's why your super missile will not be fastfall. So the buffer, I think, is not helpful for this specific input method because you can't just hold this. You can't just be like, oh yeah, frame 24. I'm going to hold down and then I'm going to input the motion on frame 27. In order to do that, you have to know exactly when to input the motion anyways. So you might as well just be trying to time the motion. You shouldn't be holding down. Yeah, so that's what I recommend. Okay, so I want to address some of the common mistakes that you'll see and what they mean, right? So I just covered the missile at the jump peak, and bombing is a very common one, right? If I bomb, um, usually it means that I have mistimed my B press. And obviously, now that I'm trying to mess up, I'm doing it quite well. So if that's the case, you're going to get it a lot. And I actually recommend that you start by bombing. I think that most people will lose most frames by having a B press that is slightly too late, and you'll lose frames. So start by bombing. So like purposely press the B button too early in your practice and then slowly delay it. And you'll find a much better motion and muscle memory this way. If you start too late and work backwards, you're more likely to end up with a 2-frame motion. And if you start with the bomb and move outward, you're more likely to end up with some 1 frames and some 2 frames if you're on controller. So I do recommend spending some time and finding the early B press, and you'll end up bombing. And that's a very, very, very common mistake. The next thing is homing missile, and like I said, there's something seriously wrong with your motion if you are consistently getting homing missile. So I'll show you, right? I'm up here, and I'm going to press forward on 27. So forward on 27, and then I'm still holding forward on 28, and I'm still holding forward on 29, and finally on 30 if I press B. That's when homing missile happens. So I can't if I do that even different, like a little bit differently, forward on 27, forward on 28, and now I'm going to press B on 29 instead. Now I get super missile, right? So you have to be in that zone for 3 frames and then press B on the 4th frame. And there's no way, right? It means your B press is horribly mistimed, or your motion is very like not where it has to be. And then the other really really common one is when your missile doesn't come out. Let me. Oh, now I'm getting bombed. If your missile doesn't come out, oh wow, I got a frame 8. Nice. That means I had a 1 frame motion. Um, wow. Okay, I'm getting really good motions now. I'm trying not to. Okay. Um, I'm trying to mess up. Yeah. So when I mess up like that, right? Let me task mess up. This is really this is really weird that I'm hitting it when I'm literally trying to mess up. Okay. So one of the big fail cases is this, right? I uh I fast fall for too long, right? So my motion is not good or it's mistimed, right? So if I fast fall on frame 4 and then I have a 2 frame motion, that's another reason why. So this is why I like turning on the fastfall codes, so you can see whether or not you were late or you mistimed the B press. That's another easy way to lose frames, right? So like if I let's say I have a good motion, I press down on this frame and then I wait, and then I'm already holding forward on this frame, but I don't press B until here, right? If my B press is late. I recommend um for your practice, what I did a lot was when I was jumping into unranked, after I did that, I would go back into the VODs, the Slippy files, and I would look at them frame by frame using a program called M Overlay so that I could see my inputs in frame by frame and I could sort of diagnose what my problems were in very specific situations. And I found that I'm hitting B too late a lot of the time. Um, so that's something that I've been trying to grind into my muscle memory to hit B earlier, and I think that might help a lot of you guys as well. And the last thing I want to recommend is to start incorporating platform fast fall missile cancel. And I demonstrated a bunch of these already, but I think it's really nice when you start from like here, right? You suddenly go across the platform and you're shooting a missile, and you've gone from evading to attacking. See, like I think that is pretty useful, especially on stadium. On a lot of the other stages, it's more difficult because it's more difficult to run off and then fast fall and shoot a missile in the same direction that you ran off in. It's a it's more it's like to do this, dash I have to dash, let the control stick return to neutral so that I dash off the platform, and then I need to time my motion. So I need to do diagonal down, which only works on frame 2 or later. And then after that, I have to do the missile like 1 to 2 frames after. So it has very similar requirements to short hop fastball missile cancel from this platform height. Other platforms are easier. I think Dreamland is trivial, so don't worry about Dreamland. You can still run off and then fast fall because you're like this height for Dreamland. So you can like run off and then fast fall and then tap. You can like double tap it. Um but for stages like, you know, this is less of a applicable thing because you can only shoot them this way. On Battlefield, you want to be a little bit careful as well because on Battlefield, if you do this, you are likely to end up off stage. Oof. Like that. You're likely to end up off stage, um, unless you want to do it from here. And I think this is sometimes useful. You like you're like around here, and then suddenly the missile's out there. Let's say there's a Luigi on the ledge, right? You go to the platform, and now you are attacking the Luigi this way. And I think that there's real use cases for this missile. Um, but in general, I think it's easier to reverse direction. You are doing a half circle motion, so you go here and then you spin the control stick all the way around in a smooth motion. It's a lot easier once you've practiced a little bit of short hop fastball missile can. Um, yeah, when you're practicing this, like short off, fast hold, missile cancel, try to practice different directions as well. So like jump forward and then shoot back because that's going to be very common for you. Like jump this way and shoot back. Oof. Because you're going to use that much more often. Um, and I do recommend doing it in games and lots of games in a row because you're gonna. If you're like me, I'm a decrepit old man. I get tired. I actually start feeling fatigue in my thumbs, and I start missing my motion or my B presses because of that. And you really want to get used to that. You really want to exercise your thumbs, and you'll find that like, oh yeah, I'm getting tired of throwing these, and I don't know how many I can do, right? But with practice, you're definitely going to get it down, and I think this is a really powerful tool, and I don't think it's nearly as hard as we thought it was before. So I've done this homework so you guys don't have to. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and that's it.